And we are live. Welcome, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another segment of the Cash Geeks Network. Super excited for today. I know we have this new hour change, so thank you guys so much for adjusting with the hour. I'm going to be announcing it for a lot of our first podcast episodes with the new hour. I know we used to go live 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Now we're going live 5 p.m. Eastern. Because again, I got kids now. I got something to do at night, right? So, but today I'm super pumped because we have all heard of this app, right? It was a sexy app that came out years ago, and we were all driving for dollars with it. And today we have the VP of partnerships with DealMachine, and I'm super excited to have Matt Kamp on today because we're gonna hear the story of the rise and pivots of DealMachine and what's working today, right? As you guys know, I like to bring on services or mentors or different programs that get to experience multiple wholesalers, flippers, multiple investors, and then tell us what's working for all of them, right? I can tell you what's working for me, but that's just me. What works for me might not work for 10 other people. But we bring on services, programs, mentors, whatever it is, to learn what's working for the majority of investors. So, Matt, well, let's bring Matt on.
Hey, what's up, Gonzalo? Thanks
Oh,
for having me,
man.
man. Good seeing you.
Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, you too. I mean, I appreciate you having me on. How old are your kids, by the way? I know you said you've got a couple.
So I have a 10-month-old.
Okay. There we
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Dude,
Well, so
congratulations.
now he's 11 months,
Yeah.
and my wife is 5 months pregnant.
Wow. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine are almost 7, 5 and 3. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I'm in the thick of it too. It's
Dude,
the
you went
best
back
thing
to
in the world,
back.
man. Yeah.
You did the
Oh
back
yeah.
to back.
Yeah, they're just under 2 years apart, all of them. So
Yeah, that's what we're
yeah.
going for. We're gonna have the 2 under 2 thing, and then
Mhm.
we're debating. So we have a boy, and now we're having a girl. So now, we get the 2, so we're debating like, do we go for the 3rd? We'll see how it is with 2, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, take one
Um,
at a time, see what you think.
correct,
We
correct.
had, boy, girl on our end, but,
Nice.
yeah, man, it's a blast. It's not easy, but it is a blast,
Oh,
so,
I'm sure, I'm
yeah.
sure. That's awesome, man. So, Matt, where are you based out of?
I'm in St. Louis, so,
Okay.
we're pretty virtual overall. We've got a few people here, about 10 or so in Indianapolis, David's in Austin, so we're maybe 30-ish total, and all pretty spread out in general, so,
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome, man. So what is Deal Machine, and how do you play a role in Deal Machine?
Yeah. So, DealMachine, just very broadly, we want to be the go-to app to help you find off-market deals. So, that's our mission is and really our one-liner in terms of every decision we make on our end. In terms of the internal company mission is to give everyone the power of real estate investing. So, really focused on, hey, how do we give you a tool that's just so incredibly easy to pick up, to start using, to figure out how to go land your first deal and many after it. And I work on partnerships over here, so it's everything from coming on and teaching people through webinars and demos and all kinds of education. It's being able to team up with other companies, whether they be tech companies, education companies, groups that speak to real estate investors that we can go give value to by bringing technology. And then also a lot of times I'll come out and say, hey, here's the playbook of what's working today for our customers broadly. We're really proud to say we've had over 10,000 deals done at this point using DealMachine.
Wow.
So we hit that
Insane.
milestone. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
looking at that data and figuring out like what's working for all of them all over the place is what I could try to distill down and share with people.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome, man. And so we all know Deal Machine as the app that came out that if you were driving for dollars, you could, and you saw the house that looks
yeah.
like it, needs some love or whatever. You could pull out the app, take a snapshot of it. It'll tell you who the owner is. You can
Mhm.
pay $1 for the mailer. You can pay $1 for the phone number. Um, that's what we all like. That's what I still think a lot of people think of when they hear Deal Machine, right? Um, What all is it now?
Yeah. So, and I love, I love that we built such an exciting, like strong brand, first off. And it's funny, like actually Deal Machine to begin with too. It's, David was the, CEO and co-founder. Dave's our CTO. They started it together back in, it was like 2017 ish. And really 2018 is when it really, started to be focused on getting the word out there and really growing into the brand that you guys knew then. So it's been, 5 years really since
Yeah.
like, kind of came on the scene, I guess. They're both those guys are guys that were past business partners of mine. They were, two of my best friends growing up, two that I like had always wanted to get into business with again. And so I'd always loved seeing what they were doing in Deal Machine and seeing them grow and seeing like them find product market fit and say like, hey, people really find this valuable. Like there's all these people, they would go to conferences and they get high fives from all these people that have found deals with this app they made. And it was really cool to like hear their stories and see them grow. So they really became known as that Driving for Dollars app through that. And then I know over time, we've evolved and added quite a few things, but in the end goal is helping you find off market deals. So, whether it's Driving for Dollars, we still, are best in class at that. Like we still have our mobile app that, we really hang our hat on the ratings and reviews for that and being able to say like, hey, we're the highest rated, most reviewed app out there to find deals like that. So it's, we really, tout that in terms of like what makes us different. But we tried to evolve beyond that. So to help people think through, okay, how do you find off market deals? It's not just Driving for Dollars. Like that is a really, really awesome strategy. That's still, we really lay out the data and say, this is the best bang for your buck. Like in terms of the least number of leads to get to a deal is Driving for Dollars. It's because you're finding properties that, they're the number one indicator they might be a motivated seller is if it's a rundown house. And you're finding properties other people aren't finding easily. Like there's a barrier, there's some work that's involved and not everyone's willing to do that. So you find properties that might have an owner that's not being bombarded by a million other investors, right? They're the least competitive leads out there. But we do also recognize like, hey, that's not for everybody. That's not a strategy that everyone's going to go out and do. And, they might need other options. So we've evolved into not just the physical driving around. We have a virtual option now as well. I mean, that's a couple years old. We have where it's essentially importing Google Street Image into Deal Machine, and you're clicking for dollars at this point. So we have people who have, they're investing from all over the world into the US that way. We have people who are in different markets investing, virtually that way. We have people who hire virtual assistants like VAs or even like, family members that aren't old enough to get to drive. Like, they get creative to use the virtual clicking for dollars,
Clicking for dollars, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you've got that option.
Okay.
And then the other thing, we've really, really stepped up our game. And especially this week when we've been launching, some major upgrades when it comes to our data, we've really, really doubled down on our data as well and making it so that you're not just adding properties based on the look, but that you're also looking at, we have now over 150 filters, data points that are everything from, MLS data to tax and, tax and lien info to property characteristics, to seller motivations, like, senior owner or tired landlord. We've got a ton of different data points you can tap into now. And so your ability to build a list quickly and do, by stacking different motivations on top of each other and building lists that way, in addition to Driving for Dollars, is kind of how we've expanded your ability to build a list of motivated sellers. So,
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And are you guys, because you guys are also, if I'm remembering correctly, you guys get the phone numbers also, right?
Yeah. So a couple things there. So the first step, and really, when we talk through like how do you find a deal, right? How do you really go from finding motivated seller, having that conversation with them and then closing that deal, closing the actual property, that whole process, we've kind of built out tools to help you along that whole journey. So, first step is building a list of really qualified leads, right? And so that's the D for D, the virtual driving, the list building, all right there. That I would bucket that under there.
Yeah.
The second phase would be, okay, now that I have all these addresses, how do I reach out to those sellers? How do I market to them? And how do I use technology to just save as much time as possible? So We've got when you talked about like the direct mail, the mail campaigns. That's still those postcards are still very much a key part of the app. Like I know they've been around since 5, 6 years now, but that's still a massive way that people are using tech to directly get in touch with people, because a lot of times as well, the power of that mail is that you can automate it, right? And you can go in there in a deal machine and say, hey, yeah, send them this postcard, send it once a month. We've got a variety, like 10 or 15 default different styles of postcards in there. So you can say, hey, send them this one and then this one and this one. And you can customize all of it yourself in terms of, design and sizing and wording and all that. All that's going to increase your response rate. You also can go in there and do handwritten letters, a lot of different kind of automation around how to create and send mail. And then the skip tracing piece. So this is something that we literally just announced. It was November 20th, like yesterday. We put this out. Big announcement on our end. We, there's a variety of things. Like we said, we're upgrading the data. I can talk about that all day.
Yeah.
Big one is when it comes to skip tracing, we're actually changing the game there and giving people unlimited free skip tracing. So
what?
Yeah. So that's the big one. That's the breaking news. Yeah, man. And that's like
Unlimited
the way that
free skip tracing. Is it good data?
Yes. It's actually better data than our old skip tracing. It's
Dude,
actually
people are gonna come hunt you guys down.
it's dude. I mean, it's data that is we'll say it's if you look at the accuracy of it, it's the same data they use for like caller IDs. Like it's that accurate. So it's pretty wild, man. I think like we're at a spot on our end where both the technology itself, we're just so confident in that we want to remove every barrier we possibly can for people. And we know that people hate being nickeled and dimed. Like we hate, people hate jumping in there. They got to pay for a subscription, and they got to pay, for a skip trace. They got to pay for this and that. And so we just want to put everything in one spot, make it really simple and easy to just use DealMachine. You get the driving for dollars and the list building. And when it comes to skip tracing, we want to give you contact info. Like we're trying to change the way you think about data and make it so that you're not just pinging a database and trying to get information based on this one property, but rather that you're getting contact information for that individual, and it comes with the actual app. So, for example, with Starter, you get 10,000 leads in DealMachine. That's 10,000, skip traces, 10,000 contact information, phone numbers, and email addresses that would normally be, 10 cents per skip trace. That's $1,000 of value right there.
Dude, that's crazy. So what is it like? What is it now then? Because like, all right, so how do you sign up for that? Like, how do you, obviously it's unlimited free skip tracing, but part of the thing, right? It has to be part of something.
So if you subscribe to DealMachine, you get that with it.
Now. And how much is it to subscribe to DealMachine?
So if you do Starter is $99 a month. Okay. Pro is $149, and then Teams, if you're going to build a big driving for dollars team, that's $499 a month. And that would be for the more like the more lead investor, I would say, or scaling investor at least. But so like for the 99, it would be all the driving for dollars stuff, all the list builder stuff, all the free skip tracing for your 10,000 leads in there. And I keep
so what are what's the 10,000 leads?
So that you can add them either by driving for dollars. If you drive around and add properties, you just add it to your list of leads. A lead is an address, right? Yep. You can import a list. So if you have a list from anywhere else, you import it automatically, skip traced, contact info, boom, all lined up for you right there.
What?
Yeah. Or you can use List Builder and just go on our map, filter that area and say, hey, based on these different factors, then, hey, pull me a list. It takes about 10 seconds to actually pull that list. And you've got all the contact info for that right there too. So,
dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, we see it. Our goal with it is how you think about, like Amazon, for example. No one wants to pay for shipping over and over again. So you have that Amazon Prime subscription, you're a member, and with that, you get the free shipping. That's a similar model of, hey, if you're a DealMachine member, then you're getting free skip tracing.
Right.
So,
right. Mm-hmm. Just that makes sense, dude. That makes sense. I love that model, and it's definitely gonna be a disruptor for sure. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
it literally just dropped last night on November 20th. So
well, because
yeah.
I'm just thinking like, I mean, my skip tracing bill is over $500 a month. You know what I
There
mean?
you go. Yep.
How much data can I import at the $500 a month?
That's 500,000 leads.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna let everyone know how
Good. Please.
data is.
Please. Yeah.
Everybody who watches me know I'm not bullshit.
I'll say based on our testing so far, it's somewhere upper 80s%. You get a correct contact person
Hit
match.
rate, right? Yep.
Yeah, and then based on that, I mean, we have accuracy of phone numbers is hard to test because
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, but it's north. It's for sure. I mean, I know the industry standard even is actually probably shockingly low to most people. It's like 30 some odd percent.
Right.
This is all of our initial testing so far is that it's 40% minimum in terms of the accuracy.
Wow.
So
And
it's
what do you guys do for, LLCs? Is that separate?
no, that's included is there in there as well. So it actually the way that we're going about doing it, it's matching the person with like the actual people with the properties on our end. So an old skip trace is it like a static one-off, like you're pinging a database and getting things tied to that address. Whereas for us, we have contact info for the person. So even if they own an LLC, if they own whatever, like it's still under their name and still that person.
Right.
Or if they
Got
move,
it.
if they move properties, like an old skip trace, you get like 7, 9, 8, 9 phone numbers because it's been all these different owners, and
Right.
you're getting all that tied to the property. This you're getting like the contact info, so it's usually like 1, 2, 3 numbers that are associated with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
All right,
almost like
I'm
a
in.
different way to think about data.
I'm
Yeah.
in.
There we go.
Done.
Try it out. Report back to the people, man.
Dude, I will. I will. I'm stoked. That's awesome. Okay, so you talked about, because I want to keep breaking this down, right? I'm listening. I'm jotting down notes.
Yeah.
Number one is gather the prospects, right?
Mhm.
So you gather the prospects, whether that's the list builder, driving for
DMD.
dollars, clicking for dollars, whatever that is.
Mhm.
Step two, contact the prospects, right? Whether that's direct mail, skip tracing, phone call,
I
texting, whatever.
Yeah, and I'd also put under there we have, essentially think of it like a planned route, mode where you essentially can take any list that you have outside DealMachine, or if you build a list in DealMachine, if you pull a list according to data, our mobile app actually, you can go in there and say, "Hey, I wanna drive this list." And it'll give
Mm.
you, on the mobile app, turn-by-turn navigation to every single property on that list and say, "Hey, here's the fastest route possible if you want to door knock, if
Yeah.
you want to leave door hangers, anything in person like that." And you obviously you want to drive for dollars while you're doing it too. Like you want to keep
Right.
building.
No, dude, that's awesome. We
But
have someone on our team that does that specifically.
oh, there you go, man.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yep.
door knocking works. Like this year, it's been
Mhm.
a great performer for us.
Mhm.
Um, and that's perfect. Because part of the thing is, hey, when he's out there, and now that I'm having you on, like it just makes sense. Like, dude, we should have just been fucking using Deal Machine this whole time. Now I just feel so dumb.
Now you get the skips though, so that's
Now
yeah.
I feel better. Okay, you didn't have that, so that's why I didn't use it. But now, all right.
Now that puts you okay. There you
That's
go.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a phase where we were heavy on Deal Machine, and then we just, like, scaled up like crazy, and then we were just like, "Alright, let's just buy lists, cold call," you know what I mean? Like, we don't have time for that, right? Like, we
Mhm.
went that route, and then now I'm scaling down, right?
Mhm.
Market kinda changed a little bit, and
Mhm.
I'm definitely working a lot smarter, right, than harder,
Yep.
and just trying to focus on what really matters, right? And so right now, it's like, how can I make the most margin with the least amount of deals, and how can I go after deals that nobody's going after?
Yep.
And, door knocking is one of them, right?
Absolutely.
And it works. It just does, right?
Yep.
Um,
That
so I'm
that's been,
excited about this.
yeah, I mean, if you were to ask me like what's working today, maybe even better than earlier, but just in general, like how would you recommend your marketing strategy? if you can get out of your comfort zone and do the door knocking, and which you already are, I mean, that's highly recommended. That in-person touch point, whether it be the door knock or leaving like a door hanger on the door, or a sticky note on
Leaving
the
the
door.
door hanger makes a difference. We got a call today from
Absolutely.
somebody, and they went
Mhm.
out to their house, you know?
Yep. Yep.
We
All that
we gave them
in-person
a note.
stuff goes a long
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. So let's get into that. What is working today? So obviously door knocking, right? That in-person touch.
Yep, yep. So door knocking. I will mention it's cool, like hearing you say, working smarter and being able to be more efficient, right?
Yep.
One thing that we launched it back in April, May this year, so it's only been out like 6 months ish. Was for that reason as well, and it was also to give newbies like confidence in always leading with action, because that no matter what's working today is leading with action. Like it's
Yeah.
following up, being consistent, getting the touch points in, like that game. There's no way to fake that. It's
Yep.
if you're looking at the data, like before just looking at the data in general, you'll see, hey, if you only reach out to somebody, it's the right lead, someone who's going to sell their house, and you only reach out one time, you only give them one chance to interact with you, you're still missing out on that contact like over 85% of the time. Like you're still putting yourself in a spot that you're not going to get as nearly as many deals. And if you
Absolutely.
only reach out 3 times, looking at the data, it's like 47% of the time, a little north of that. So if you can put together these marketing strategies where you have a multi marketing approach, have different channels that you're reaching out to people and multiple times, that's going to put you in a way better place statistically to really get their attention and really have a great conversation with that seller.
Yeah.
So what's working today, it's that, and then being efficient with your time for sure. We built, so back, like I was mentioning, back in May, we launched a little AI assistant inside DealMachine.
Mm.
So that was something that's been, we were the first one to really do like think of it like a D for D copilot, almost like a little, essentially we took Chat GPT, if you've used that at all,
Yep.
and then put that into DealMachine, prompted it with a ton of real estate information. So, that's really where the magic is in any of the large language model AIs, is how you prompt it,
Prompting.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we put our prompting into it to help out, customers and have it ready to go. And then we're also feeding it that off market data, right? So it's knowing, oh, hey, how to analyze deals, how to how to talk to sellers, things like that, and give you advice on that. So in terms of being smarter with your time, being efficient, like
Wow.
people are tapping into that AI, little assistant, and like getting information from it and interacting with it and using that to better inform their marketing. So that I would
Wow.
say, like, kind of doing that multi-pronged marketing approach, and then using things like AI to be more effective and more efficient, is what I'm seeing work today. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you guys definitely had to pivot, right? Because
Mhm.
as Deal Machine was coming out, then out of nowhere, left and right, another program, another list provider and software and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so like, what would you say, as far as like just the journey and the story behind like Deal Machine, right? Like
Mhm.
the recent growth of it. Um,
Mhm.
how has that been, right? Like just like, crap, these guys are coming out with this program, like, just behind the scenes, like,
Yeah.
man, these guys are doing this, like, we need to step this up, and then, like, boom, out of nowhere, this comes out or whatever, like, how is
For
that?
sure. Yeah, and really, I mean, if you do anything that, no matter what industry, and if you do anything that gets attention and grows, like, other people are going to catch on and start doing that too. So we I would say there's we would expect at some point to have competitors jump in and do some of those things. Um, it's interesting. Like, I know, so David and Dave started it. Grew. They had a small team, grew quite a bit. Again, 2018, 19. Going into 20, I think we knew we wanted to add a lot to it, and we, one of our main competitive advantages, I think, still to this day, is how quickly we can innovate and really continue to add things that are really powerful. Like the AI tool is an example of that. The skip tracing is an example of that. The new data stuff we're doing, like the map, a lot of these updates. I would say I would argue, if you look at the kind of the competitive landscape, we're one of the quickest moving and evolving apps out there to
Yeah.
do a lot of this stuff. So we always had that going for us, and we're like, how do we tap into that? And I think 2020 and 21, we almost leaned a little too heavy into that, where we added a lot of new stuff, but while we were doing that, we kind of overbuilt it a little bit, I would think, in
Mhm.
terms of the usability of it. And you jump in there and yeah, you can do all these things, but it's not always super clear how to do those things
Yeah.
and like, where to start, especially for the newbie. Like,
Right.
the more advanced investor might get that a little bit quicker, but the newbie, they're jumping in and they're like, okay, now what do I do? And they've got a
Right.
million options. And if you have a million things, you can get analysis paralysis and do none of them. Right. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I think like we learned a ton about simplicity of, the buying process. That's like, the skip tracing thing is a great example of that. Like we want to simplify where it's just
Yeah.
you buy a subscription, that's it, you're good. Um, we learned a ton in terms of the onboarding process and how to teach people how to use the app and how to get in there and like make it really easy to use quickly.
Yeah.
And so those lessons came, I would say kind of 2020, 2021, and going into 22, 23 really came back to like simplify, make it easy, make it great for people where it's simple enough for even the newbie to use right away, but powerful enough that the more advanced investor can dig in and use those more advanced features
Mm.
quickly. So that was a
That
big
is that is a
process.
challenging,
Yeah.
task to do because
Mhm.
there are a lot of those programs where, like, it's hard to appease the newbie interface,
Mhm.
right, with, like, just this cookie cutter thing, but yet retain once you move past that and you have employees and additional logins and users and all
Right.
this and, like, moving on past that, I have noticed that people break systems, right?
Mhm.
Like, after you reach a certain level, it's like, "Hey, I can't use that program anymore." Um, and so it's unique that you're even you guys are aware of that, and that's the challenge that you guys have to, that's the task at hand, basically.
Yeah.
Constantly, I'm sure.
Mhm. And that's where, like, that mission to give everyone the power of real estate investing, that's where that evolved from, is us realizing, like,
Mm,
"Hey, we wanna be a core app that anybody who's getting into real estate can come to DealMachine and start, using that tool and use that as a way to go find their first deal and ideally many after that." And then we also, through that journey too, we really focus on listening to our customers, and they'd say, "Oh, I wish you had this, and I wish you had that, and I wish you had this," which is
mhm.
awesome, and we built all that, but now we gotta make it, or now we learned, hey, you still have to make it very usable for everyone as well in
Right,
that process.
right.
So I think we've learned a ton the last couple of years. I think I'm very excited about where we are now, and that I think especially those couple of years, the 2020, 2021, when a lot was that learning process, and then the simplification and really the usability of it was, in terms of pivot, like I think we will continue to add things and we want to continue to evolve and innovate. Like
Absolutely.
that's again, like I think one of our top competitive advantages, but I think we've learned how to do that right now. So
Yeah. That's huge. That's awesome. And that's exciting, right? Because you guys are a, in the grand scheme of thing, you guys are a newer company, right? Like 2017, 2018, like for what you guys have I guess the industry that you guys are in, in my opinion, it's different than like real estate investors. You know what I mean? It's like lead generation and data, and just that industry. Like you guys have so much room to grow,
Mhm.
which I think that's exciting, which is why you guys are in this, to do this. Because you hear like, these tech companies and these data companies, and they're just like, "Hey, like, I think it was like freaking PropStream, right? Like they sold to like Stewart Title for like $200 million.
Mhm.
And it seems like you just they came out of nowhere, but really, like, you do research, you're like, "Holy crap, they've been around since, like, 2010 or 2011 or whatever," right? And they're like, "Oh, wow, they've been around for a long time," right? Or even before that, I'm not entirely sure. Um, but I am excited to see how this disrupts because free skip tracing is huge, and it will the investor community it's a small community, right? Like, we
Mhm.
all, um word will get out fast.
Yeah, we're very excited. We're trying to make it a game changer. Like we're trying to give power to the people where they can look at that data and really the demographic data too. So we're upgrading. Like I mentioned, we've got like double the amount of data in our map now than we used to, and part of that is demographic data. So we want to make it not only the contact info be for that person, but you can dig in and look at that owner and look and really trying to be kind of the ultimate cold call prep tool where you can jump in and see like what is the situation they're dealing with, what's the transaction history, what is this, do they have a portfolio? You can see that. You can see quite a bit about that individual as well. And so that way you can get really targeted with the marketing and actually speak to them in a way that you're not just blanketing in, entire neighborhood and being really generic, but you can get really, honed in on what speaks to that individual. And part of that is the, contact info to actually get in touch with them. So,
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, how are you guys like, you mentioned like you guys are going to be doing some new webinars promoting this stuff, right?
mhm.
Or something like that. Um, how are you guys gonna get the word out?
Yeah. So to start with, to even like unveil all this stuff, we're having a demo week. So we're hosting for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Every year we do some kind of fun promotion, and what it looks like this year is November 20th. So last night we went live for the first of 3 webinars. Last night was David going live. Tonight is Elise on the 21st, and then I'm tomorrow on the 22nd going live. And each of these series of webinars, which there's the link there, so Webinar Jam link. All of those are just free webinars where you're signing up, and we're showing you exactly, we're training you on how to use this stuff. And here's what's new about DealMachine. Here's how to use the new map. Here's what the demographic data you're getting. Here's the new enhanced property data. Here's the free skip traces, how to use that. Really kind of unveiling all of that over the week, and then training you on exactly how to be the most successful with this possible. So just share that playbook of here's what's working for people today. And since it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we're doing a lot of like just killer deals with it too. Of like, hey, if you want to jump on this right away, that's how we want to kickstart this thing, is get people talking about it, because we're going to have that window. It's November 20th through 29th. People can actually get this Black Friday deal. But we want people to just jump in and make it just such an amazing offer that people start talking about it and start there. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, dude, I'm sold. Like, I'm signing up like right now, and yeah, I mean, dude, it's just a no brainer. I just like people will. I mean, numbers don't lie, right?
mhm.
So if people know how much you're paying for skip tracing already, right? And
Yep.
it's just like, dude, if I can, like, even just that just saves me tons of money already, and that's just the skip tracing part. That's crazy. That's
That's the
crazy.
goal, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think like when you're asking too, like how we pivoted, I mean, it's again, like helping you find the leads, helping you market to those sellers. And then the third piece, like in terms of closing deals, I would say the AI kind of falls under that bucket. Like it does some deal analysis for you. Alma,
Right.
that's a DealMachine Pro and up feature. So Pro and teams get that one. And then the I would say outside of that, we've got a comps tool as well. So it's MLS comps, and you can go in there and use that on the go. I think the on the go piece is what makes it really unique. Is on
Yeah.
the go, you can, if you're in the field and need to really make a confident call right there, then you can jump in the mobile app and really use that to your advantage too. So
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's what I need, because like even just like sometimes I'm just scrolling on Facebook and someone, because I like buy from like other wholesalers as well, like fix and flip properties.
mhm.
Like I'm on Facebook, I see an address, like I need to run comps like really quickly, to see if it's a good deal or whatever. And right now it's like, all right, I got to get in front of my computer because I got to get on the MLS, and the MLS app,
Right.
like they just suck,
It's not
like
great.
trying to get on
Yeah.
Zillow, and like it just all sucks. So I'm like, crap, I have to get in front of my computer so I can run comps. Um, so if you guys have a on the go comp, that is also a game changer.
So that's been like the evolution of trying to tell that story of not being just the driving for dollars app, but yes,
Right.
we're still great at that. But in addition to that, here's everything else to help you.
Correct. And that's why I wanted to, honestly, that's why I wanted to have you guys on, right? Because I spoke, I think this was last year in like September or something. I spoke at an event in Seattle,
Uh huh.
and I was hearing, and you guys were also there.
Is it Springboard? Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes, Springboard.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I was just hearing you guys say all this new stuff that you guys do, and I just always associated you guys as the Driving for Dollars app. I don't
Yeah.
drive for dollars anymore, so, like, I don't use DealMachine anymore. And then, like, you guys were just talking about, like, you can do this and do that, and I was like, "Dude, we gotta, like, get back on the podcast or get you guys on the podcast and talk about it. Finally have you guys, and this is perfect timing because had I
Mhm.
had you guys 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever, we wouldn't be talking about this. So this is
Yeah. Yeah, this has all been a bit of a change. Oh, here, let me.
that's fine.
I think camera froze here. Give me 1 minute here for a second too.
Yeah, no worries. But we can still hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Um, so is there anything else that you didn't mention? Is there any other secret sauce that you're hiding from me?
Hiding intentionally? No, it's I would say here. I won't be hiding in a second here once we get this camera back going.
All good.
Sorry about that.
No worries, man.
The battery issue. So let me see here. All right. Now we're back. Okay,
There we
cool.
go.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, so the playbook that I go through and always really share of what's working in general. So again, like that step one is really building the list. I highly recommend being able to think through if you're going to drive for dollars, if we're talking through like just that strategy, it's going to take depending on the market itself, whether it be density and higher population is going to be a little more competitive. You're going to need more leads to get to that first or next deal. If it's a little more spread out, a little more rural, it's usually less competitive, less number of leads to get to a deal. So it's anywhere from, I would say, a couple hundred leads is for a deal is kind of initial ratio, up to a couple times that, up to maybe even 1,000 leads. Just depends on where you're at. So in like a Seattle, for example, that's gonna be a lot more competitive. That's gonna be a lot closer to the 1,000 than it is the 200-300. So I always recommend if you can do a mix of driving for dollars, whether it's you yourself, whether it's a bird dog you bring on, which you can on DealMachine, you can bring on add other users and have them drive for you, and it'll track.
Nice.
That's a big one, is it'll track their route. You can look and see where they've been, how many leads they've added, exactly where they drove, and really kind of build a little driving team, with that. So, that I would highly recommend having that going, and then couple that with List Builder, where List Builder's in the map, you can just start overlaying data on the map and pull a list and be able to market that way. And when you do those two things together, it's like you're kind of trying to get the best of both worlds, of the quickness and data of building a list, the bang for your buck, like less leads to a deal ratio of less competitive leads of driving for dollars. So kind of putting those two things together, then taking that next step on it of reaching out again in multiple ways. We really kind of categorize it as short-term and long-term marketing. So short-term marketing, we'd say, is like one-to-one marketing that you're doing that is harder to scale. It requires you getting out there and door knocking and cold calling, or one-off texting, one-off email, anything like that's kind of takes that hustle. That's one thing. And then if you can couple that with a long-term automated strategy that really does scale, and that would be sending postcards, that would be something like that, where you can just hit one button and in DealMachine say, hey, send them this card, then this one, then this style, and mix it up and send it once a month, and you can automate all that. So putting those two things together, and then once you get in the room, really once you get a call back, rather, we have a lead manager piece of it. Like we basically a lightweight CRM where you're in there. You can take notes on the property. You can add tasks of like, remind myself to go do this, or remind myself to call them. And when you go through that and finally get in the room, and then they say, hey, what price is, we start talking price, right? That's where the comms tool can come in and be helpful. And you can use AI throughout that whole process using that AI assistant. So the playbook is really breaking that down, getting better and better at that. And again, it just comes down to leading with action, really, if you're new, like getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Like you're getting,
Absolutely.
it's getting out there and learning by doing, and leading with with conversations, and being able to, once you're talking to sellers, you're going to get better and better at it, and you're going to learn each time. And ideally, you have a mentor or network or coach or something you can fall back on and learn with, and help them learn with you, or help you learn more quickly rather. But leading through action and doing that enough times that you find a motivated seller who you can solve a problem for, and people are willing to trade a solution to a problem for a good deal, and you go through that process. And that's really kind of there's not a secret sauce beyond that, beyond like, hey, how do you use technology to aid you in doing that? So
Right. Dude, that's awesome. That's incredible. So what would you say is like, how do what do more established advanced investors who are getting on Deal Machine, what are they doing?
Yep. Yeah. So that next level up, more advanced investor that's scaling, they used to do a better job, I think. And better's not even the right word. They're just ready to delegate, to help build a team, help have other people execute on these strategies. So things like, they might come in and build a bird dog team. That's what our team's plan is built for. Is they'll come in, and we have like a little driver recruitment funnel. You can basically, it's like a little landing page that says, hey, do you want to be a bird dog? Like click here, and it'll help you get in touch with people, so you can post that on Facebook, or post it on a job board, or post it wherever. Send your Uber driver to it, things like that. And have people go out there and drive for you and with you. So they're getting better at that for lead generation. They're getting smarter about how they spend on their marketing. So, within DealMachine, we have a tracker on when you send out mail, you can see like how many mailers you've sent and how much you spent on it, and really help you kind of optimize your spend there.
What are you guys charging right now for mail?
So it depends on what you're sending out. It's the low end is 55 cents for a postcard.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then all the way up to, we have handwritten letters that are $1.75.
Got it.
But it's literally handwritten, it's through Ballpoint Marketing. So it depends on what you're trying to send them. And you can, I recommend mixing it up. That's going to get you a higher response rate too.
Yep.
So the more advanced people, they're sending more mail, they're sending more marketing, but they're being smart about it by looking at their spend and really tracking that and seeing what works well. And then, they're getting really, really good at making offers, like being able to go in and get to that ARV number is extremely important, and something that people mess up often. So having data to really inform you of that, I think, being able to do that quickly and effectively is super important. So, that's something, talking about Springboard, that's something they talk about all the time.
Right.
The ability to do that well. So yeah, I think the more advanced investor, they're just getting better at each of those things, and getting better at building a team to help them execute on those things.
That makes sense. So I'm interested to see how many big players convert over to you guys right now with just this new feature of the unlimited skip tracing. I just come from a world where like I'm a big cold caller, so I'm in that category of wholesalers, right? Where we just live and breathe cold calling.
Yep.
And so we know every month, every time we pull a new list, like that cost of skip tracing, right? And
it adds up.
And it adds up. And then you're always like, dang, how can I get it cheaper? What's the other service? And then you're like, I don't know if I can trust that service because I've never heard of them. I don't know them, whatever. It's, I feel like there's, a new skip tracing company starts every 5 minutes. And you don't know, right? You're like, oh, dude, skip tracing is 4 cents. Like, should we try it? Like, it's probably going to be crap. I don't know, whatever, right? So I just think of somebody that has your name, right? Like your name, your credibility, Deal Machine doing free skip tracing. I just think it's gonna take over. I know. And I like coach a lot. So I tell people like, hey, go, you guys should do cold calling. You should do skip tracing. And like, it's just great. Like $99 a month for 10,000 skips.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, it's the quality of the data was so incredibly important if we were going to make this switch, because that's the first thing people are going to be like, it's free. How good could it be? You know?
Oh,
So being able to really prove that and say, hey, this is literally better than what we used to have. And we
right.
used to have good skip tracing too, but the industry standard is not good. And we can easily clear that bar. It's also being able to say things like, hey, it's the data provider that provides the majority of the caller ID in the US. It's the same info that a lot of like emergency centers will use to be able to, for caller ID and whatnot. So yeah, I was excited to kind of, drop that on you here.
No, I'm pumped. I was not expecting that at all. That's insane. Awesome. Cool, man. So obviously people can join the webinars there. How can people learn more about you or Deal Machine? Like, where can they go to learn more?
Yeah, so I would say the webinar would be an awesome place to start for sure. If you go to our site, I mean, we're putting out a ton of content all the time. We're trying to educate people on all this stuff. Whether they're using Deal Machine or not, just sharing those best practices.
Yep.
We're very active on YouTube as well, so highly recommend the YouTube follow. And then
Nice.
David also runs a podcast himself, so that would be one that you guys need to link up on too. But
Oh, hell
he's
yeah.
got one that's just Deal Machine REI podcast. So definitely recommend checking that out too. And again, we want to be the go-to place to go find off-market deals and give everyone that power of real estate investing. So we got to be putting out a lot of stuff to just help people, get the confidence to take action. So we're I would say, like, if you can at least start there and check out YouTube, the podcast, the website, I think you'll find a lot of good stuff there. So
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this, being an open book, and dropping this insane news on us.
it's brand new, man. It broke yesterday.
I feel privileged to have you on here so soon and with this news coming out. I'm pumped, man. I already texted my business partner while we were talking. I was like, bro, freaking insane. Awesome.
Report back. Tell.
I
Use it.
will. I will. Oh,
Yes.
trust me. Awesome, man. Well, dude, thanks again so much. Anybody who tuned in and is watching, maybe you tuned in late or whatever. Again, this will be on my Facebook, on my YouTube channel, the Cash Geeks Network. Matt, once again, thanks again. And I will see you guys next week, Tuesday. Peace.